Hi everyone, I am back at Wycombe Abbey School. With me is Charlotte, who is a teacher. Her speciality is special needs. So Charlotte, thank you very much for giving me your time.
Thank you.
Good to see your environment, very casual. Reminds me of sitting at home, which is very relaxed. Look, we're going to talk about children's mental health, and if you don't mind, I'll get straight into it.
Yeah, sure.
So in terms of nowadays, do school concentrate strongly on children's mental health?
Yes, I think so. I think there's a big focus on teaching the whole child and children's pastoral needs as well as their academic needs. I think schools can recognise that children's well-being is just as important as their sort of academic results and also affects their academic results.
Excellent. Yeah, no, that's true. So thank you. Now, so what are some of the common issues that you see in your day-to-day, and how do you support them in their day-to-day lives?
So as an SEN specialist, I do see sort of the common learning disorders such as dyslexia, autism, ADHD, and I tailor interventions then to work with different children based on their needs. For a lot of children, they can sort of be supported just in the classroom. They don't need to see me as well. But if their needs are a little bit more intense, or they just need a bit of extra help, then they can come and see me as well for intervention.
Interesting. So I'll share something. I'm also dyslexic, and let me tell you, it wasn't easy growing up because the education piece wasn't there. It's great to see the schools have people like yourself who can, as a parent, because I was dyslexic, one of the things I asked Wycombe Abbey School to make sure that keep an eye out on my son, to make sure that he does not suffer from the same. But it seems to be he's okay. But it was really nice to see that there was somebody out there other than just a teacher who can actually look at on a different view, or someone who's expert at it. Now, one thing I do want to ask is when you said some things that automatically in a class they can be easily resolved. So when you have somebody singled out, like for example, if somebody was going through a difficult time and they're coming to you, how do you actually manage their mental state? Like, there is something wrong with you. How do you make them feel?
So I actually had a child ask me that the other day who is dyslexic. She said, is there something wrong with my brain? And I said, no, there's not something wrong with your brain. Your brain is just different. It's wired differently. So perhaps the part that deals with reading and writing is wired differently, isn't as strong, but then there'll be another part of your brain which is stronger to compensate for it, maybe in art or in sport or in a different field. So we think of it as learning differences rather than learning difficulties, although it does pose a challenge to their learning, but it's more for us to kind of say, you just learn differently, it's okay, it doesn't mean there's something wrong with you, it's something we can help, and if we're aware of it, and you don't have to tell your classmates, you can just be between us. But children are very used to now, because I can come back and forth, we've got other professionals working in the school, come back and forth, take children out for different things. So it's very normal, it's not stigmatized at all, it's just a sort of, this person sees this person sees this person, it's very...
Excellent.
Yeah.
So I guess you are kind of dealing with it, but also making sure they are not getting singled out. Is that, like you mentioned, is that you are wired differently. I mean, I guess we're all different. We will tell our children not to compare themselves to others, and is one of those things. And obviously, I'm sure you know that recently dyslexia thinking is classed as a skill, which wasn't the case a few years back. So, that's something makes me as an adult feel proud that there isn't something wrong with myself either. But it was different as growing up. So great, thank you.
That's the thing. What kind of researchers are thinking now is that neurodiversity is actually part of our evolution, because we need to have people who can think in different ways, because it's helpful for our society and for the human race. So this is kind of the pathway that special needs education and researchers are going down now.
Okay. Okay, so I just want to focus on, so what are some of the common mental health issues within the, in Hong Kong you've seen?
So especially since COVID, since coming back to full-time school, we do see a lot of children with anxiety. Anxiety around making friends, anxiety, some children around eating, needing to take off their masks. They'd feel very uncomfortable because obviously for the last 3 years they've been told, don't take off your mask, you must be safe. And a lot of the social skills, because our children just haven't been around other children for an extended period of time, it's been very stop, start, stop, start, stop, start. They haven't learnt those play skills and those basic social interactions. So we see a lot of friendship conflicts, difficulties with resolving conflicts by themselves. They need to kind of come to a teacher for that help and that support. And then teachers on the playground will help to facilitate that. But that's a really common issue that we're seeing at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that COVID has changed everybody, not just workplace as adults, for children as well. I think this is something new as adults to teach children in a very different way. So I think it has been a challenge overall. My final question would be, so what's, as a parent, I'm sure there are other parents out there, when you see a child going through a different phase, it could be anything, how would you say react, or would you give us some sort of guidance that you might use with a child, and then maybe share it with us, please?
I would say really have those open conversations, talk about mental health, talk about your own mental health, to say it's okay, we don't always have to feel happy, we don't always have to feel good. Sometimes I feel sad. Sometimes I had a little boy yesterday who told me, I never cry. And I was like, I'm pretty sure you do. And I said, do you know what? Everybody cries. I cried this morning because I was thinking about something very sad. And his reaction was like, oh, okay. So I think having those open conversations, showing that we don't have to be so stoic and stiff upper lip all the time. It's okay to feel things and talk about those things.
Excellent. So I guess you got to show your vulnerability first,
exactly, yeah,
in order for them to be vulnerable with you. I get it. I understood. Look, Charlotte, I really appreciate your time. This has been very valuable. And please carry on the good work. And thanks again.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Hope you had some valuable. If you have any feedback, please do reach out, and I'll see you on the next one. Thank you.